As both of our football teams, I spent all week. I spent particularly Friday and Saturday asking for someone to step up and save our football season. Someone, please step up, make a play. And there were opportunities, plays were made. The Jets blocked the field goal and ran it back for a touchdown. Still not good enough. Well, it was for their coach, not for the rest of us. 0-6. 0-6 for our football season. Dead. And let's start with the most recently deceased, the New York Giants. As last night was one of those games that from the jump, right, whatever enthusiasm you're able to muster about either of these football teams, but any kind of excitement Sunday night, the first game in that building for the Giants, their first home game, the Chiefs aren't who they used to be. I love that one. Chiefs aren't who they used to be. Good enough to beat this lousy team. But whatever enthusiasm you can muster, however you can fool yourself heading into the game, whatever lies you're able to tell yourself that you can believe the Giants could take advantage of this or the Giants are capable of that. And look at last week in the passing attack and what Russell Wilson could be able to do. Andrew Thomas is playing. Hey, it's a new day. First game at home. Anything's possible. This Chiefs team is not the same. They're 0-2. Anything is possible. And you found out real quick that it's the same exact thing because so many different things go on in this game. But it starts with, as we're watching the game, and I was doing some things at 7 o'clock. I was helping my wife shower the kids. I was putting them to bed. I come down just as the game is starting. And all of a sudden I hear Mike Tirico say something. And Mike Tirico says, well, Graham Gano hurt himself in warm-ups, got a bit of a groin issue. I don't know if we're going to see him kick. And I got to tell you, from that moment on, I knew what was about to happen. Because believe it or not, it's difficult to play a football game when you know you don't have a kicker. And we're going to get on the coach. We're going to get on the coach for everything that went on in this game. And rightfully so, because Brian Daboll and this passing attack in particular are an absolute joke. An absolute joke. The execution of this offense inside the red zone, the play calling inside the red zone, all of it's a joke and it's on the coach. But what I want to just say real quick, because Joe Schoen deserves his share of blame. And if so many people hit me up because I didn't want Brian Daboll fired at the end of the year, and right now that obviously looks like a mistake. But so many people hit me up and blame the coach for not having a kicker. That is not the coach's fault. He was healthy all week. I was listening to the postgame. All week long, not a thing. He hurt himself in warm-ups. What are you supposed to do? Dress a backup kicker just in case the Graham Gano goes down? If he's that unreliable, which apparently he is, because now this is the third time in the last 3 years that the Giants enter a game or at some point in the game don't have a kicker. Don't have one. And we're watching the punter kick it, or we're going for 2-point conversions, or we're 4th and 8 at the 30, and we can't kick it because we don't have a kicker. It's happened so much. Let me tell you something. Graham Gano is a very solid kicker. He is accurate. I trust him in big moments. I like Graham Gano. Get him off the team. He just can't stay healthy. He can't stay healthy. And this is on Joe Schoen for not recognizing you have a 38-year-old kicker that, by the way, you're paying a lot of money to. They could have saved money, cut him, drafted a kicker in the 7th round, or picked up some kicker for cheap and gone in there with a kicker who might be able to stay healthy. And we see across the league that, we see mixed extra points. We also see 60-yard field goals clicked off like they're the easiest thing I've ever experienced. Like, get another kicker in here. Sorry, Graham. You're a good dude. You're actually a good kicker. You can't stay healthy. And 3 years running, he has put the Giants in a situation where you have to manage the game completely differently when you're taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. That's the first part of it. And that's not the reason they lost. And I'm still that mad about it. Because honestly, that first drive is a promising drive. They're running the football. They were able to run the football. This offensive line was able to get a push on this Kansas City defensive front. Scadaboo and even Tracy early on before he hurts his shoulder were running the football. Andrew Thomas and his 25 snaps, or 30, whichever one it was, 25, 35 snaps. I think it was just 25. He looked like himself. There was actually some promise to the start of this game if you didn't hear Tirico tell you that Graham Gano wasn't there. Like, outside of that information that we got 2 seconds into the game, that first drive, some push. They're running the football. Scatterbo looks good. Tracy looks good. They're down the field. There's an opportunity to kick a field goal and go up 3-0. There's a point in this game where it should have been 10-6, but they don't have a kicker. And that's not on the coach. That's on this GM. That's on the GM. Graham Gano should not be the kicker at 38 when he can't stay healthy. It's ridiculous. And then you get to what is the coach's fault, the offense. And I only have a few minutes here because we're backed up on spots. So let me just tell you this. Last week, they played, and what we saw furthered this week by what Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears were able to do to that Dallas Cowboys team. And this is why you can't lose that freaking game. You can't lose that game because the Giants could have played better in this game, but it's hard to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, when they're 0-2 with their season on the line. That's a difficult game to win. They had an opportunity to do so. They had an opportunity to do so, believe it or not, but that's a tough game to win. You got to beat the Cowboys when you put up 37 points and take the lead with 25 seconds, but I digress. Because we saw what they did against a lousy team when receivers were running down the field wide open. When Wan'Dale Robinson was running up the seam all by himself, they were able to get some big plays down the field. You watch this game and the way Russell Wilson played and the play calling and what happened pass-wise, there is nothing to this football game. There is nothing to this passing attack. There were 2 plays. Throw the ball deep into double coverage, check it down to a running back. That was it. There is nothing intermediate. There is nothing across the middle of the field. There is nothing. Now, is that because the game plan sucks? Maybe, and probably. Is it because Russell Wilson can't see over his offensive lineman, or he just doesn't see the field anymore, or he's incapable of making the throws unless they're wide open moon balls? Yeah, maybe. Is it that this wide receiving core that I've believed in all offseason, that a lot of us Giant fans who were excited about this team and believed in this team on some level and had some optimism despite the struggles over the last handful of years, despite how much the coach hasn't been successful over the last 2 years, despite the strength of schedule and how difficult it was going to be. Some of the optimism was they have Wan'Dale Robinson, they brought back Slayton, they have obviously Neighbors, who's a stud. I think, and you talk about the running back position, I think there's actually some good players. I think there's actually some talent in the skill positions. And I'm sorry, Russell Wilson's awful. The play calling's awful. We'll get to the continued lack of just imagination and terrible play calling inside the red zone. But let me ask you a question. Did you see any wide receiver win? Did you see anybody win? They don't win. Nobody got open. They got open against the Dallas Cowboys, which we're about to see. Everybody will get open against the Dallas Cowboys. Against Spags and this Kansas City team, there was no one open. No one. And that's not to excuse the play calling because it's dreadful. And I don't care who's not open. I don't care how tough they're making it. I don't care how deep they're playing their 2 safeties. I don't care what's going on. You've got Malik Neighbors. He can't have 1 target in the first half. You have got to find a way to get the ball in his hands. Chris Collinsworth was saying it. Run an end around. Run a bubble screen. Do something to put the ball in your best playmaker's hands. Nothing. 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 How is that possible? How is it possible? And then just, quite honestly, the lack of playmaking ability. That's it. As talented as I think this roster still is and can be, I truly do believe there's a lot more talent on this team than previous seasons, and I think there's enough talent on this team to actually win some football games. But they go out and spend big money on Adebo. He drops an interception in this game. He actually dropped 2. The second one was at the end of the game. Didn't matter. But he has a chance to make a game-breaking play. Bobby Okereke. That's a fumble on a backwards pass where he has an opportunity to just either fall on it or pick it up and scoop it and take it in because God knows they don't score without miracles. And instead, he allows Patrick Mahomes to run across the field and rip it out of his hands. You want to know why they lose? They lose because there's no imagination in the play calling, particularly in the red zone. They've got nothing going on with the pass game. And they don't make the big game-winning plays when they're there to be made. And Kansas City they didn't do much. They made a couple. They make Andrew Phillips commits the big penalty at the end of the first half. They get the same thing. They avoid a sack, third and long, throws a bomb. It's caught through Andrew Phillips' arms. Like, they made a couple of game-winning plays. And the Giants make none. Plain and simple. They had an opportunity to be in this game. I'm not going to tell you they could have won it, but they had an opportunity to legitimately be in this game. The entire thing changes when you lose your kicker. I'm sorry, it just does. Your entire mentality changes when you lose your kicker and you know you have to play that kind of football game. No big plays, nothing in the passing attack other than checkdowns and deep balls into double coverage. And when there are plays to be made that can impact the game and swing momentum, they dropped them every single time. Interceptions dropped, big plays not made, interceptions thrown on one-on-one coverage in the back of the end zone, fumbles not picked up, just plain and simple. Changing plays, there were 4 or 5 of them. They failed on every single one. Why? Because they're the New York Giants and they have no freaking clue how to win a football game. And that's Brian Daboll and that's Joe Schoen. And it's also everybody who's touched this franchise for the last decade. It's not just them. It's amazing how it continually happens. It has been a decade of everybody involved with the organization has no freaking clue how to win a football game. None of their players know how to make the big play. It's the same thing over and over again. And it's impossible to watch. Let's talk a little Jets because they're a disaster too. As they are 0-3 as well, as they lost a heartbreaker, as it was just put in the update, 29-27 to the Bucs, as they were getting their ass kicked pretty much all game, doing nothing offensively pretty much all game, looking like it was going to be a ho-hum, ugly performance, and then they found ways to score 21 points in the fourth quarter, including a blocked field goal. A blocked field goal by Will McDonald. He picks it up as well and runs it back for a touchdown. The coach is dancing on the sidelines. And let me just first say this, because we're going to get into the coach here in a second. I have zero problem with him celebrating on the sidelines and dancing. Zero. After that play, as he's running down the field, chasing Will McDonald into the end zone, and then he gives you a little bit of what at first I thought was going to be a little bit of Beyonce's should have put a ring on it. I thought he was going to go into that kind of dance. He ended up just kind of doing like I don't know if it's a robot type thing, but I have no problem with it. I have no problem with in the moment being exuberant, enjoying it. That's a big time moment. It's a big time moment. We got on Robert Saleh constantly for being, after being an emotional guy as the 49ers defensive coordinator. I didn't see him now that he's back in that role, if he's been that emotional on the sidelines. But as a Jet head coach, it was no emotion. And we were all over him. Give me something. Show you care. Show you're upset. Show you're happy. So to see the coach celebrate on the sidelines after a big kick return, blocked field goal for a touchdown, that I have no problem with. What I do have a problem with is clapping his hands like he's happy with the performance after his defense allows Baker Mayfield, after that touchdown, to come right back down the field and kick a game-winning field goal against you. And then he's clapping as he walks off. What are you happy about? What are we happy about? Because I got to tell you, I'm hard-pressed. Yes, you scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. Yes, you made a big play to take the lead late in the game. Yes, you didn't quit. Yes, you fought back. Absolutely, they did. And yes, you had to deal with injuries. As Sauce Gardner went down, and you're playing with a backup quarterback. And Williams went down. I get it. It's a good effort. But ultimately, you lost a disaster, and it started the same thing. Penalties. First of all, it was the ugliest freaking game, and mainly Tampa Bay. They're lucky they're walking away with a victory because Todd Bowles' team committed a penalty on every play. For the first quarter and a half of this football game, there was a flag on every single play. It was impossible to watch. It took any rhythm out of that game, any enjoyment out of watching that game. Every single play was a penalty, mainly on Tampa Bay, to be fair. But my goodness, it was just every play, including a really devastating, on the first drive as the Jets are going down the field, they get a big play, and it's taken away by a procedural penalty because the wide receiver wasn't on the line of scrimmage covering the tackle, and their rookie wide receiver, and coach laid into him, and that's fine. That's coaching. That's what this is about, and I have no problem with them celebrating. But you can't offer that performance. And I understand, backup quarterback, you scored 21 points in the fourth quarter, you came back into the game, and you gave yourself an opportunity to win, and you got beat by a team that has now done the same thing 3 weeks in a row. Down the field to beat Atlanta, down the field to beat Houston, and Baker Mayfield made it 3 for 3 down the field, making big plays, running past you for 30 yards. On his way to breaking your heart for the third week in a row, Baker Mayfield has now done this. So I understand all the positives you want to try and take out of it, but the enthusiastic clap on the field and then in the post game talking about we're not the same old Jets, and this team is different, and this is different, and that's different. And what's different? You're 0-3. That's the same. You haven't won anything. You're going to start preaching and getting up on your soapbox and telling everyone we're not the same old Jets, and I hate that word. I hate that line. We're not the same old Jets. This team is different. When you lost, that's where, in a postgame where last week all we heard was, got to look at the film, got to look at the film, got to watch the tape, got to watch the tape. Now we're going to be talking about, hey, we're different. No, you're not. You're losers. Everyone in this town is. When it comes to football, at least. I mean, this game is a perfect example of a team that doesn't know how to win yet. Same thing, Giants and Jets, same thing. Right? And now the Jets have given you two performances that you can kind of take some positive out of. They didn't quit. They didn't stop. They kept battling. And obviously the first game, the offense was really positive and everything, what they were able to do. Now, Fields has obviously been hurt and missed this game. And Taylor didn't play well to start, found some offense late, and they managed to score 21 points and get back in the game. But ultimately, penalties hurt them in the first drive. Penalties hurt them all game. They were getting absolutely overrun for most of the game. And with 2 minutes left, they go for a seal-the-game field goal, or at least give them a touchdown lead field goal. You block it, make a big play, take the lead, and they come right back, right down the field. And we have seen that from this defense, whether it's this version of the defense that has not gotten off to necessarily a great start, or whether it's the version of the defense that they themselves are calling the 85 Bears. Even at their best, we have seen this defense, even in games where they dominate, when they need to make the big stop at the end of the game, the other team goes right down the field. It happens way too much. And for this coach, and we talk about there's no such thing as moral victories. Well, I'm not so sure Aaron Glenn doesn't agree. I'm not so sure he agrees, because he seemed very pleased with his team's effort. He seemed very pleased losing this football game. And it's just, it's impossible with these two teams, man. It's unbelievable. 0-3. Season over for both teams. At least the Giants do have something to turn to with the young quarterback. I don't know what the Jets are going to do. You got Sauce Gardner getting beat before he even got injured. Constantly. And it seems like paying him the year early doesn't feel like that's going to lead anywhere good. Wilson gets hurt as well. Just, one of those games where they find ways to lose. They had an opportunity to win that football game. That defense let them down in the end. Offense wasn't doing much all game. It was one of those, oh, they're getting beat bad. They're getting beat bad. Oh, my God, look at this. They're right back in it. And the coach afterwards, Aaron Glenn, I get it. You're trying to pump up your team. I get it. But forget the dancing. After the game, once you've lost, that's a moment where you took the lead. That's a moment where you thought you might have won the game. That's a moment where your special teams stepped up and made a huge play. Will McDonald does that. The play where he jumps over the center. You got to make sure you clear him and not touch him. It's a very athletic play. He jumps over the center clean, blocks it, scoops it, runs it for a touchdown. That you can't have a better special teams play. You can't make a better game-changing play in that moment. He didn't just block it. He scooped it and scored it. I have no problem with the coach running down the sidelines and showing some emotion and getting pumped up with his team. But I don't understand what the hell he's clapping about as he's walking off the field, a loser. And then has, the best thing he's got for the postgame is we're not the same old Jets. I don't know. I don't know with these two teams. Now, Glenn is clearly not on the same level of hot seat or at hot seat at all as Brian Dable. He's not at all. It's the third game of his career with the Jets, and 2 out of the 3 you could argue, they're right in it. A couple mistakes here, a couple mistakes there, a couple of, big plays. They actually win the football game. I get it. And there probably are things to take out of the positive nature of this team fighting back after looking dead for the first 3 quarters. But I don't know if I've ever seen a coach enthusiastically clapping in approval as he walked off the field a loser. And he claims he understands this fan base, and he claims he understands the city and the market, and he's walking off a loser celebrating? That's a tough look. Tough look.